Now, a warning to parents. There is a disturbing new trend among teens. They're using hand sanitizer to get drunk. Doctors are so worried, they called an emergency news conference in Los Angeles.
The story of how life imitates Hollywood with disastrous results. It's a wildly popular movie about an out-of-control teen party full of boozing, drugs, and big-ticket destruction. The movie characters get away with just a hangover, but for real-life teens copying these parties this spring break, the consequences are far more serious.
They've got everyday names, spice, bath salts, but they're not used as everyday products. In fact, they can be lethal. They are the latest designer drugs your kids may be using, even bragging about on YouTube. What's even more terrifying, they are completely legal.
We begin tonight's broadcast the same way we begin every night's broadcast, with a story designed to scare parents. Although that is not explicitly said, it is a valid implication.
Imagine just getting home from an average 8 to 10 hour workday, sitting down on the couch and flicking on the TV. This is probably the first chance for relaxation you've had all day, and the first thing you hear is,
"There's a growing danger tonight, sending American teenagers to the emergency room."
A University of South Florida, as well as many others university in market studies, conclude that emotional exhaustion and mental strain are common not only in high-stress careers, but in everyday workplaces. In addition, mental strain and emotional exhaustion can reduce one's rational state of thought, sometimes replacing normal emotions and thought with irrational fears and stressors. In addition, 9 out of 10 sociologists agree that a parent's most primal instinct is to raise and protect their child from preventable harm. So that first 20 to 30 seconds of sometimes intimidating and harsh words such as epidemic, craze, lethal, all combined with teen or more often kids, can come off as exceptionally scary to people who are already stressed.
Now, if parents are already stressed from hearing their kid will die, this means that the whole rest of the story could be made up, erroneous, or incomplete, but still hold sway with the audience. Take, for instance, this segment from SpongeBob SquarePants.
The wildly popular Nickelodeon cartoon. Why? Well, it turns out a new study by child psychologists suggests that cheerful, can-do little sponge could threaten your child's development.
The University of Virginia study claims that 4-year-olds who watch SpongeBob immediately before trying to sit still and engage in a learning environment have a harder time learning than their non-TV watching counterparts. What the program failed to mention is that the study was still ongoing and at that time included only 60 subjects.
The study claims that the 4-year-olds who watched SpongeBob had a harder time with problem-solving and cognitive skills because of rapidly changing colors and the setting of the TV show, in addition to its just plain goofiness. What the study failed to consider is that the target audience of SpongeBob, according to Nickelodeon, is ages 7 and up, not 4 and younger, and the purpose for entertainment only, not education. However, some may argue that SpongeBob teaches some life lessons, occasionally, like having a cheerful spirit and hard work ethic, enjoying life to its fullest, and so on. But when a show cannot find a study to back their arguments up, instead they look to interview people affected by certain scenarios, for instance, this young man.
30 police cars out there, Dad.
And suddenly, suicidal thoughts.
And he grabbed the butcher knife off of the counter he was standing in front of and impulsively just slashed his neck from ear to ear.
Or this lady.
I'm literally just rotting. Like, there's nothing I can think of that's good in my life.
This is Ashley. She's just 21 years old and smoking as many as 100 hits of heroin a day.
Or this frightening statistic.
The number of heroin users has nearly doubled in just the past 3 years. Even more surprising may be the face of the new addicts. Tonight, you're going to meet kids from families you never thought could fall victim to drugs. Families who did everything right, and still their kids are hooked.
One thing that is probably noticed is the exaggeration in each instance. For example, I'm fairly certain that with how potent and powerful of a drug heroin is, 100 hits a day, equating after 7.14 hits an hour in an average 14-hour day, would most likely kill her. Also, the number of heroin users has doubled. According to whom? Such statistics are so hard to measure there is no consistency now about how many use today. According to the National Survey on Drug and Health, there were roughly 281,000 heroin users in 2011, where a CIA study claims as many as 900,000. What else isn't accounted? Population growth in the U.S. The United States gained approximately an additional 7 million people in the past 3 years, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So the percentage of heroin users has remained a constant between 0.07% and 0.2%, depending on administration and study. And a kid slashing his own throat because of a narcotic is most likely an extreme example that happens on a very rare occurrence.
These observations shouldn't be taken as insensitivity. Drug addiction and misuse in any case are a serious issue that need to be addressed, but taken with some consideration. With a national average of 300 friends, you are more likely to have cosmetic surgery in your lifetime than you are to be Facebook friends with a heroin addict. And on a world level, you are more likely to be in a car accident by the end of the month than you are to be friends with an opiates addict. Kids are impressionable,
but we're not completely helpless.
So the next time you hear a news segment about how teens and youth are at risk of dangers of life,
take a few seconds to reflect on how that story can really impact you.
And remember, just because a few bad apples are in the bunch
doesn't mean we are all sour.